I just say things as I see them. I thought it was a low blow. If you kept throwing punches in that area all night, you'd be pulled up every time.
If there is any sort of reason for VAR, this could be the one where it could make the most sense.
Oh, are we saying he quit?
If you really want to fight on, you don't let the referee get to 8 before you start to get up. Does Daniel Dubois throw in the towel himself? Does he just choose to not get up? I feel like yes. First world title fight, I think, yeah, you're thinking you need to go out on your shield.
The right man on the night won for me. Who does Usyk fight next? Is it the big Fury fight we all want to see?
I'd like to see him fight Tyson Fury. I think he beats Tyson Fury. I think Usyk's the best heavyweight in the world right now.
You think he beats Tyson Fury, do you? You just confidently, flippantly drop that one out. You think he just beats Tyson Fury? Simple as that. Hello, welcome to The Verdict, a brand new review show with myself, Carl the Cobra Froch. I'm joined this week by George Groves. How are you, George?
I am very good, Carl. Thank you very much for talking to me about boxing. It's good to see you.
Now, let's get stuck into what we saw this weekend with Oleksander Usyk and Daniel Dubois getting knocked out in round 9. How did Dubois start for you? Because for me, I was a little bit more impressed than what I thought I would have been. I thought he was tidy enough, but what did you think of the opening rounds?
Yeah, I thought Usyk was in control, but Dubois was better than he has been. I think he came in lighter than he has done lately. And he did look a little bit lighter. He looked less sort of... Sometimes he can look a bit stiff on his legs almost, a bit too top heavy. But he looked smoother at the start, but wasn't able to sort of keep up with Usyk's speed and his volume of punches. Usyk, on the other hand, he did come in at the same weight as he had done for both his fights with Anthony Joshua, but didn't look quite as shredded as he usually does. He's not ever totally shredded. Like, he looks like he's built up to the weight, but yeah, a little bit off the pace, but in full control for me, Carl. I thought he was out of that southpaw stance, landing his jab well enough, and a little bit more aggressive at the start of the rounds for Usyk. Usually he's a lot more cautious. How did you see it?
Yeah, sits back a little bit, doesn't he, usually? Especially with the Anthony Joshua 2 fights. He kind of sits back, has a look. I think he's still a little bit unsure as a heavyweight, especially when he's in there looking up at Anthony Joshua and looking up at these big heavyweights. He must be thinking to himself, if I get clipped, how's it going to feel? I've got, even as good as he was at cruiserweight and what a top amateur he was, he's still a human being. He's still going to think to himself, right, I'm a heavyweight now and I'm fighting a big punching heavyweight. Obviously, when he fought Dubois, definitely a big punching heavyweight. I think he's had 18 knockouts in 19 wins. But yeah, I agree with you. I thought he started a bit faster and a little bit more intentional, if that's the right word. But I thought Dubois was very confident. And I was quite impressed that he was kind of trying to stay with Usyk. He didn't look like a deer in the headlights. He didn't look overwhelmed. He kept behind his jab, albeit he was getting out jabbed. And he was trying that right hand, trying it to the body and trying to throw it when he could. He wasn't being careless. And I was quite impressed. How was you scoring the rounds up until... the whole fight, how did you score it early doors? Whoever said the controversy in round 5, which we'll talk about, the low blow, or was it a low blow? But how was you scoring it?
I had Usyk winning the rounds, winning the fight, I think, just on volume of punches. Dubois landed some good body shots, and some, we'll get into that, on the belt line. And Usyk was complaining. There was a left hook that came in, sort of caught him on the side. He sort of motions to the referee and motions to Dubois that was low. He gets caught again on the waistband. But yeah, both guys started well. But I gave the rounds to Usyk because I thought he was pepper. He always does. He peppers you with them shots. He's got the confidence to get into punching range and let his hands go. And it doesn't have to be 100% on every punch. He would do that. He would touch, and then, it might be the 6th, 7th, 8th shot that comes that's got a little bit more sting and whip and power on it.
I was going to say, that lead jab,
lovely lead jab,
that sideboard, he's like, he almost snake charms with it. He hovers it out there in your face, and then he'll flick a jab, and he'll pour. Then all of a sudden, bosh, there's a big ramrod jab straight in the face of Dubois. And he's quite quick as well. Still got that cruiserweight speed, I think. So I agree with you on the scoring. He definitely dominated from the start. He was winning the rounds, albeit close and competitive, but he was definitely winning. So tactically, do you think Dubois' tactics were right? Do you think he needed to do more?
Well, I
Because not many
think
people gave him many rounds.
no, no, no. He wasn't winning the rounds. Whether Dubois knew that, this is not something he's going to try and win over 12 rounds. He's going to have to finish him. You have to stop him, and it might take a couple of rounds to get the rhythm set. But that's what Usyk does so well. He always imposes his rhythm, his pace on a fight. As you say, the variety with the jab, but he's going head and body with it. Even by round 2, he's dipping his knees and shooting the jab into the chest or into the stomach. But then he's going back up to the head. Then he's shooting down to the chest without bending the knees. There's like so many tiny little subtle variations in the attack, always giving the guy in front of him a different look, something to try and figure out. And let's be honest, there's not many heavyweights, if there's hardly any heavyweights in the division who can do that. So Dubois at this stage, for me, I think he would have been better off having a tight guard, trying to just take as many shots as he can on the gloves and punch with him. You're not quick enough to catch and counter as such, as in like trying to time it, trying to make him miss and then throw a big shot. After round 6, he starts settling into his shots a little bit. He settles into the rhythm. I think because he's starting to get a bit tired and he starts to let that right hand go. He's already been penalised at this point for low blows, but he can throw it. Orthodox v Southpaw, the backhand is always going to play dividend because you can throw it at any angle and there's a lot of target to throw at. And he hits so hard, he's only got to land something.
No, exactly, on the shoulder and the chest. As long as he's landing something, he's feeling like he's getting somewhere and he's closing the distance with the feet. So I know what you mean. But before we accelerate to round 6, let's talk about round 5, the big controversy of the night, the low blow. In your opinion, when you saw it live, did you think that is a low blow, or did you think it was borderline, or did you think it was an okay punch? What did you make of it?
It's I don't know. I feel like times have changed now, because I'm sure when I first turned pro, you wasn't allowed to punch the shorts at all. Everything had to be above the waist. But as the years have gone on, the waistbands have got bigger. The protectors have ended up getting larger and finishing higher. And you hear Carl Frampton at ringside say the navel has to be showing. It's not. His shorts are high. It's a legal shot. But he definitely hit shorts. It's on the waistband. So for me, it's down to the referee's discretion. The initial way that Usyk turns around and sort of goes to grab his nuts makes me think it's a low blow or he's hurt there. But you watch the tape after and you see it's sort of 6-1 half than the other. I feel like the referee could have gone either way on that, and there can't be a huge scream up. Ultimately, he doesn't catch him on the flesh. It is on the shorts. So we've got to now decide, well, does the waistband count as a legal shot? Maybe it does. How do you see it?
My interpretation, I thought it was a low blow. I mean, I just say things as I see them. And the glove landed, it was like half on the waistband, half on the shorts, just above the crown jewels area. So it was definitely, like, if you kept throwing punches in that area all night, you'd be pulled up every time. I mean, it wasn't an Andrew Gallotta low blow, which is blatant uppercut straight to the gonads. It was borderline, but unfortunately for him, and I'm talking about Dubois, in professional boxing, the waistband is an illegal area unless the referee specifies. That my interpretation of a low blow is anything below the navel. And I know Usyk's shorts were at times above the navel, but that shot, the glove was landed. Half the glove was on the waistband, the other half of the glove was on the shorts. So it was a low blow in that low area. And I think the way that Oleksander Usyk reacted straight away, because a body shot hits you and hurts you, but there's a split-second delay. There's like a second delay where you try and breathe and you can't quite get your breath. And then there's a delayed reaction with a body shot. But he went instantly down and he was on the floor. He was wincing in pain and he was straight away. And the referee as well, called it a no knockdown. He sort of crossed his hands and said, that's not a knockdown. Right. He took the bar to neutral corner. And then he said instructed to Usyk that you've got a bit of time here. So just take your time. He didn't count. If he'd have countered, then Usyk would have thought, right, I'm in a bit of trouble here. I'm claiming low blow. The referee's counting. And that brings me on to my next question. Do you think Usyk would have beaten the count if the referee had have judged it as illegal, as a legal shot? If the referee would have started counting, do you think that that Usyk would
I
have
think,
beat the count?
if I'm being honest, I think he would have got up and he would have beat the count because, you've seen guys go down with low blows or body shots even, and they could be on all fours, they're rolling around in agony. He wasn't that. He was sort of just sitting down, taking his time, out of puff.
It helped him staying down though, because it was evidently, you could see he was in pain. You could see he was hurt. So I agree with you. I think he would have jumped up and beat the count, and the fight would have carried on. Maybe that would have definitely been better for Dubois. But you know what Usyk's like? He's a warrior. He'd have sucked it up and just kept out of harm's way, I think. And like he did, because when the fight got called to carry on, there was still 2.5 minutes left of the fight, wasn't there? And I think Dubois missed a chance there.
Yeah, he presses him. He pressed him for that round. He doesn't get. I mean, his best round for me probably is the next round, round 6, where I think he was slightly more tired. He'd had that long break. They both had a long break, but he made an effort for the rest of that round. Didn't really have any success. In fact, Usyk's almost got his feet back under him by the end of the 5th, and he's punching back.
Yeah, he got going again, didn't he?
But now Dubois sort of settled into his role, which I think is the role that will suit him. He's looking to just let.
Do you think Dubois should have gone all in though? The end of round 5 and all around 6. Do you think Dubois should have gone all in and just gone for broke with it?
Well, I think he did make it. I think he did make a solid effort. I think Usyk wasn't sort of almost buried. It wasn't like a headshot, his legs are gone, and one more shot would finish it. So just keep punching till that lands. It was a bit more to it than that. And I think he did. He emptied the tank in 5 and 6 because from 7 onwards, he's shot now. He's out. He's gassed. He's running on fumes.
Do you think Dubois did gas out by the end? Do you think that you think that was the reason that he chose to sort of stay down, or do you think he was hurt that badly enough? He could have carried on.
Yeah, I think. You never know. I mean, he's been stopped once before against Joyce, where he had a fracture of the orbital bone. But he sort of takes a knee and sort of retires himself, and he got a lot of stick for that. And a lot of people, rightly or wrongly, gave him stick for that. But we've seen him get off the floor to win. He did that in his last fight. This time, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how hurt he was, how concussed he was, or how tired he was. And it felt to me like tiredness beat him, because you see fighters, that he's half getting up at 9. If you really want to fight on, you don't let the referee get to 8 before you start to get up. You want to be on your feet, standing up, ready.
I would have liked to see him carry on. It was down in the 8th and hurt quite badly. There was 4 or 5 shots that hit him pretty flushed. Usyk was able to land that jab, that left cross, the hook, then another shot. And I think as he was on his way down, he managed to get a little clipping uppercut in. And Dubois went down quite heavy in the 8th. And he came out in round 9. And it was almost a jab that finished the job. I think he was hurt from the jab. It was like a lead right hand. It was a very powerful jab from Usyk. It wasn't just a flicked out his jab. He kind of threw a lead right hand. And you could see that it hurt Dubois. But me personally, I'd have liked to have seen him get up from that. I think he stood up the knee on the 9th second, 8 or 9. He just didn't beat the count. Do you think he decided he'd had enough by that point? Or do you think he tried to beat the count? Or do you think he was off? Are we saying he quit in a sense? Or are we saying he was beaten up and done, he couldn't carry on?
Daniel Dubois stopped, and the question is, does Daniel Dubois throw in the towel himself? Does he just choose to not get up? I feel like yes. If I was, if we edge on the side of it, then yeah. If you'll say it in a much more clearer way than I will, Carl. How did you make of it?
He was badly hurt in the 8th, which he was. That was evident. And then he came out in round 9. He would have been tiring as a big lad. And I just think that similar to the Joyce fight, he knew he was hurt. He knew he was in trouble. He probably made the decision he's not going to win the fight. So I think he saved himself for another day. And if you interpret that as quitting, then that's quitting. But I personally wouldn't pull myself out of the fight. I'd fight to the death, to coin a phrase. I'd just stay in there. I wouldn't go down on my knee and then not get up. I just refused to quit. I spent my whole career refusing to quit. As you found out in our first fight when you flattened me in round 1 and hit me with everything, including the kitchen sink for the next 6 rounds, there was just no quitting me. And I think you've either got that mindset or you haven't. And it doesn't make you any better of a fighter, but it gives you more of a chance. And I think when you're a big puncher, if you can still get to your feet and you've still got a bit of energy in you, I mean, there was approaching round, it was round 9, so we're getting towards the last stage of the fight. I just think I'd have liked to have seen him go for broke with some big shots before he kind of went over, but I wasn't the one taking the shots. I didn't get hit with that right hand and go down. Only he knows how he felt, but you can see from like the untrained eye and even the trained eye that actually he stood up on 9 seconds. That means he could have stood up on 8 and probably carried on. I don't think the result would have been any different. I think Usyk was coming for him and he probably knew it. He's still young, 26 years old. I think he's got potentially a really, really big future. I think he needs to up his sparring, maybe go over to America, maybe have a couple more fights that are a bit steady and he can build into a great fighter. But at the minute, for me, I'd have liked to have seen him carry on in round 9. It was one punch. It was a jab, lead right hand. It put him over. I'd have liked to see him get up and go out on his shield, but that's just me talking. You're obviously, I think, kind of agreeing with me. But
we'll go with it. We'll go with it, Cole. The hardest time to do something is the first time. So the hardest time to quit, if it is quitting, then is the first time. And if he has thrown in the towel before, like we say in the Joyce fight, and it's happened this time, if it's happened again, it's just that's the way it goes. But I think first world title fight, I think, you think you need to go out on your shield.
In the aftermath of the fight, Derek Chisora told talkSPORT that it's now time for VAR in boxing. Let's have a listen.
And you know what we need to do now? We need to get VAR in boxing now. Yeah, we need to get VAR in boxing because right now, Daniel lost a fight. He lost a rematch. Maybe the rematch is going to be worth about 20 million, 30 million. He lost money. So now we need to get VAR. All the other games have it. Tennis, football. We need it in boxing now. We need VAR in boxing, and that's it.
Do you think it's time for VAR, or do you think that'll ruin the sport? Stop, start, having a look at the cameras.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of VAR because once it's in, and it wouldn't be never ending. And they've made a lot of changes to football of late, and I'm kind of happy with boxing the way it is. If there is any sort of reason for VAR, this could be the one where it could make the most sense. So essentially, there's a low blow or some sort of foul shot where the guy or girl who receives that shot is entitled to 5 minutes. Within those 5 minutes, if you're going to go back and review the tape, you can then make a decision and go, actually, no, that was above the waist. No, you box on. What I would hate to be is if they go and review the tape and the referee's already said, it's a low blow, but we're going to go VAR. It goes to a minute, and they go, well, you've lost now because you wouldn't have got up in 10 seconds. So then,
you give it
problem,
up,
isn't it?
Yeah, but you killed the fight and ruined it. Yeah,
you could have a look. There could be a fourth official ringside who then makes a decision for the referee in the ring and say, actually, that punch was fine. Get them up now. Touch gloves, away they go again. So maybe, but I'd rather, for the sake of that one instance, I'd keep VAR out of the game. I mean, it would have served me well, Cole. Obviously,
I agree. I don't like
in our first fight, you would have,
I
would have.
I knew this was coming. I was trying to cut you off, but go on. I'll let you say it.
No, exactly. I mean, Howard Foster probably, he was thinking I could have done with VAR that night, and the neck cricks come in again. Do
you think he could have done with VAR to justify the stoppage, or to?
Well, a lot of people are saying, I mean that. Who knows, Carl? Who knows? No, keep VAR out of the game, mate. We don't want anyone shining a...
I don't like it, because in boxing, the referee's there, he's the official, he gets the final say, and mistakes can be made, but they've got the chance to have a rematch. He's still carried... Don't forget, this did not, I don't think, change the outcome of the fight. Had the referee had started counting, I just want to point out, Usyk would have got up and carried on boxing. What the outcome in that round would have been, who knows? Maybe Usyk would have had to go on his bike and held on and just make the end of the round, because he'd still had 2.5 minutes left. But the fight did carry on. Both fighters were fit and capable and physically well enough. Talking mainly about Usyk here after that low blow, to carry on. And Dubois has pretty much got the upper hand now. He's just dropped Usyk. Usyk's been in pain for 3-4 minutes. And Dubois should be feeling confident. And Usyk still managed to do the job. Usyk still got to him in round 8, still put him over and hurt him, was still outboxing him. And then in round 9, he forced a stoppage and still got the knockout win. So I don't think anything would have changed. The right man on the night won for me. I think Dubois can leave with his head held high, and he give a great performance for himself. But I just think with or without VAR, without the referee calling it a low blow or a legal shot, I just think the result would have been the same. I don't think we need to worry about if the decision changed. And Frank Warren has told in the post-fight press conference that his team will appeal the decision. And
do you think he'll be successful, Cole? Do you think he'll get a rematch?
He might get a rematch, depending on what mood the governing bodies are in. But they'll look at whatever's going to make them the most money and who's next for Usyk. And if Tyson Fury all of a sudden decides that fight's going to happen, Dubois got no chance in getting the rematch. You know, if it makes money for the governing bodies and for anybody really, if it makes money, it makes sense. But how big a loss is that to Dubois? Let's say the rematch doesn't happen. There's no rematch clause to the fight, so it probably won't unless he gets his own win with the appeal. Where does he go? Where does his future lie if this rematch doesn't happen?
Well, yeah, he's got time on his side. If you look at the other guys in the division, they've all got like almost 10 years on him. Fury, Usyk, Joshua, even not far behind them guys in terms of their age, and they won't be around for forever. So they might only have a few more years in the game, and then
they're all in the mid-30s, aren't they? They're all kind of cracking on towards the end of the career. And Dubois is 26. Is he even 26 yet? He's around that age. So I think he could be the future of the sport. The heavyweight boxing. There's not many around. Even Joe Joyce, who's already beat him. Joe Joyce is late 30s. Well, what is he, 35, 36? He's all of them, really. And he's in a rematch with Zhilei Zhang next week. Maybe, I don't think a fight with Joe Joyce would be a wise move for him. I'd like to see him in a couple of steady fights, build his confidence back. And he can come again, I think. I really do.
I wouldn't see why he can't come again. It's another loss. It's another stoppage loss. But, I mean, heavyweights, they live forever. They go on forever. And you need to, I think, to not ruin him, then, you want to really match him correctly from here on in and know that, he might peak in 3 years' time. And in 3 years' time, the heavyweight scene might be a totally different scene, look totally different. So, I think,
let's just say there's no, sorry to stop you. Let's just say there's no rematch then for Dubois. Who does Usyk fight next? Is it the big Fury fight we all want to see? Filip Hrgović is the mandatory for the IBF. He sees himself as the next in line. And at 36 years old, how many fights does he have left? I think he's only got 2, maximum 3 fights left. But what would you like to see next for him? I want to see him fight Tyson Fury. But what do you think next?
Yeah, I'd like to see him fight Tyson Fury. I think he beats Tyson Fury. I think Usyk's the best heavyweight in the world right now.
You think he beats Tyson Fury, do you? You just confidently, flippantly drop that one out. You think he just beats Tyson Fury? Simple as that.
Well, it won't be an easy fight for him. But I think he'll have the ability, the boxing IQ, the athleticism, and cope with Fury's mind games and everything else that Fury has that's always been a major attribute for him. I think Usyk he's either seen before or can cope with. He's always had to travel. He's always been the away fighter, and he's always come up trumps. He's always won.
Yeah. He's a road warrior, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And Fury, he hasn't boxed that regularly of late. I think, and since the Wilder win, which was a good few years ago now, they're great. They're great fights to watch, but. He hasn't really been challenged, and that's not necessarily his fault.
I think he's still at the top of his game. I think it's difficult for him to get that little bit of weight off what he likes to lose before he jumps in the ring. Because he holds that fat around his belly and around his love handles, but he gets himself into shape. And I personally think the fight with Usyk wouldn't be easy for Tyson Fury, but I think he dominates the fight. I think he keeps him at range and out-muscles him and sizes him and leans on him. And I don't think Usyk will be able to get anything going. Do you see Usyk outboxing Tyson Fury and being able to pepper him with that jab and land that left cross and get in range and still be able to land shots without Tyson Fury mauling him and leaning on him and sort of bullying him out of it? Then when do you think that would happen?
Well, he's going to have to give away reach. That'll be his biggest obstacle. So the height, and with the height is the reach. But he's agile and fast on his feet, and he cuts out at great angles. Usyk ain't going to be in range to be grabbed and leaned on and held. He has the boxing IQ, the boxing ability. An Olympic champion. He came through the you know, the Ukrainian amateur boxing scene. You know, this is like you're talking about the performance against Dillian Whyte, which was a great performance from Tyson Fury, but Dillian Whyte had next to no amateur pedigree. You know, if you're comparing it with Usyk, who probably had hundreds of amateur fights, internationals, you know, Olympic champion, for all the best guys. So,
I've not spoke to many people that think that Usyk wins that fight against Tyson Fury. That's all. I'm just shocked that that's actually your verdict. I've not spoke to many people that actually think he can do it. But who knows? I mean, it's difficult to see how Usyk get beat. I totally agree with that. It's difficult to see how he loses. I think that maybe the blueprints, then body shots, work the body, lean on him, bully him, whack them rib cage and the bread basket. He don't like it around that midsection, does he, Usyk? Maybe a couple of borderline shots would do the trick as well. Throw a few of them in, because you know Tyson Fury don't mind playing the game. So we now turn our attention to next week's highly anticipated rematch between Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr., a fight that's live on talkSPORT from Manchester this Saturday night. George, how do you see this one going?
Right, so me and you were up there last time where we watched both of them, Liam Smith and Eubank Jr. contest, and I've never seen Eubank get wiped out the way he did, and major question marks like just jump at you when something like that happens. And when
I think you was more shocked than me, wasn't you? Because you've fought him. I was shocked because I've sparred him a lot, but you've fought him. You know how tough he was or is.
He's tough. You know, I've hit him on the chin. You know, and I'm ring walking at 13 stone, and I punched. I got a decent whack, and I landed some decent right hands on him, and yeah, he went with it. And there was always that element of him with him where you've got a concern for his fitness and for his punch output when you think his back's against the wall. So you had to bear that in mind. But Liam Smith coming up from like a career like middleweight, comes up to middle, and then can't really miss once his hands start going in that round. That it's either the third or the fourth that he gets stopped in, I think. He puts together a great combination. I bet one of them was a catch, caught him with an elbow, but Eubank is wiped out, and as I say, he's been in there with some big dudes before, you know, under the spotlights. And
do you think that was a weight issue? Do you think making the weight killed him? Getting down to that 1-5.
Was my first. That was
1-5.
Yeah. My first thought was, he's too tight now at 160. He's too tight at 160. He doesn't know how to make the weight.
But he tried to make a lighter weight than that though before with Conor Benn, didn't he? Because the Conor Benn fight was on, and then that got cancelled.
Yeah,
but that was down at 157 or 154?
157, I think it was a catch weight. But lower than the super middleweight limit, lower than the middleweight limit. So yeah, I think
that's what took it out of him. Personally, I feel that's what happened to him. But I don't know if he can get it back. Dropping that weight and just being around 160, I don't know if he's got punch resistance anymore after what I saw.
Well, you know, you see, guys, we saw Robert Helenius get absolutely iced against Joshua, and there wasn't much in it. And obviously, they're heavyweights, and Joshua can whack and ice you. But the way he sort of went down, he was out. But then when he's back to life after 5 minutes or so, you're like at 39, that's a punch resistance thing. And it catches up on you. You know, Roy Jones, who was in his corner that night, whether he wants to admit it or not, sometimes the punch resistance can leave you. And someone like Eubank Jr., who was always known for having a decent chin, I don't think he ever really had it properly tested. He had a few fights where he got a few digs on the chin, but he sort of inherited that from his dad having a good chin. But I think now, you have to worry about his punch resistance. The only thing he has to be honest with himself and be, did I do the weight wrong? Did I have a little bug or a virus going into that? Did I pick up some minor concussion in sparring in camp, which, you know, has an effect on fight night? But he's always sort of run his own camp, done his own thing, and that's hard. That's hard because pro game is hard. But now I think this is the most interesting thing is having Bomac in his corner, who's obviously working with Crawford and, you know, all these other elite level fighters. Surely he knows how to prep someone for a camp, even if he's only had him for 6 weeks. You know, he knows what them final 3-4 weeks is like. He knows how sharp and on point a fighter needs to be, how they need to make the weight in those final stages. And if he gets that bit right, and he gets a few of his tactics right, and better, he might make it a lot tougher for Liam Smith. But if he comes out and he doesn't use his jab and he tries to throw uppercuts and doesn't box his way into positions, then it will only be a matter of time where I think Liam Smith will catch up with him. And even if he settles for a points win, I can't see Eubank competing.
I think somewhere deep down, because you've had a fight with Chris Eubank, and based on what you were saying on the first one, not wanting to put words in your mouth or put you on the spot here, I think you want Chris Eubank Jr. to do better in this fight and show actually that he's tougher and he's better than what he was in that last one. Because after speaking to you on the live broadcast on their first fight, I think you wasn't disappointed that Liam Smith won the fight because the better man won and you was happy for him. But you was really kind of disappointed with the Chris Eubank Jr. that turned up, and you just thought it wasn't him in there. Would I be right in saying that? And you think you're expecting a better performance now in this one, aren't you?
Well, I don't think I would have been the only person. I wouldn't have been the only person who thought that they were shocked that was the Chris Eubank. Well, but essentially, the boxing wasn't great, but there wasn't much in it up until that point. They were both feeling to the fight, and then he gets wiped out, and I was stunned. But I know both fighters, and I've got a lot of respect and a lot of time for Chris, and so I would like to see him do better in this fight and give a better account of himself, because I believe he can do that. At the same time, I've known Liam since we were 15 boxing for England and travelling the world. So, I've boxed two of his brothers. Like, it's a small world boxing sometimes. So I just want to see a good fight, and I want to see the right fight. And the first fight felt weird, and sometimes it is just the mind boggles, and I felt like that was the case with Eubank not showing up to the races. So we want to get to the bottom of it now. I think we'll see a better version of Eubank because we have to, but also we might see a more confident and composed Liam Smith. Smith has pulled the fight. He had, I can't remember exactly now what the issue was, but the fight got postponed. I think he might have even had surgery. So I'm not sure what shape he's in. Is he in perfect condition? I mean, rarely do fighters have perfect camps, do they, Carl? But he probably can't postpone it for a third time, knowing that the pressure's on and Eubank might have options to go elsewhere. So it's a really interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. I always look forward to the pay-per-views.
Me too.
They make them exciting.
Yeah, me too. I'll be working that one for talkSPORT. Looking forward to sitting ringside and watching that one unfold. I think that just based on what I saw in the first fight, I think Liam Smith's going to come even more confident, and he's just a more natural all-round boxer and a fighter, and I think he comes from better. I just think the experience that he's got at the level he's been at. I know he lost to Canelo, but he's been in there with him, and he's got boxing IQ. And even if Eubank turns up and he's 10-15% better, which will be difficult for him because he's done that weight now and he's still got to make 160, which is the same weight they're fighting at. I just think for him to turn it around totally on its head and all of a sudden have punch resistance. I might be totally wrong. Chris Eubank might have been ill. He might have crashed the weight. He might have been on the weight for way too long. But I'm thinking Liam Smith goes in there and it's going to take him longer, but I think he's going to get to Eubank. I think he's going to demolish him again. But that's why boxing's so wonderful. It always keeps us on the edge of our seat and it always keeps everybody guessing. But that's one I'm definitely looking forward to, that's for sure. Right, so that's it for the first ever The Verdict with myself and George Groves. Get in the comments and let us know what you think. And also, whilst you're here, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for us. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.